Hello! We have 3 stories today, and they're the top hits from PettyRevenge in the last month. Our first story topped the charts and may have also generated some invasive species warnings in the Lone Star State, as this revenge can apparently be seen all the way from space, spreading across the Texas Panhandle. It started petty, but quickly took root into an ecological disaster our hero was happy to leave behind. Story 1. About 4 years ago, I used to live in a nice HOA in a small town in Texas, and enjoyed having only one neighbor over my backyard fence. The plot was about 2 acres, and the other side of the backyard butted up to a hayfield. The stars were beautiful at night because of virtually no light pollution, until the neighbor decided to install an incredibly bright security light over their back porch aimed right at my back patio and bedroom windows. I tried to ignore it at first and put shades in the bedroom, but out on the patio, it was like having a bright LED headlight in your face all night. I consulted the HOA about adding a privacy addition to my fence to increase its height, and they said no, because it's already at the 8-foot max allowed height. They said there was nothing in the bylaws or whatever about bright lights, so nothing they could do. Diplomacy. So I hated for this to be the thing where we finally had a formal greeting after 3 years of back porch waves. But I walked over and rang the doorbell with $20. I politely explained how the light was causing the aforementioned nuisance, and asked if there was any way I could convince him to point the light down or in a different direction. I even offered to buy him a case of beer, the $20, out of goodwill, and even a new motion-sensing light. He seemed nice and agreed to point it down, but after waiting a month, nothing changed. I went back to have another polite conversation, and he said he had changed his mind and was going to leave it on every night and leave it pointed as is. Petty revenge. Needless to say, I was a bit upset diplomacy failed and started figuring out how to win. If the military taught me anything, there's always ways to adapt and overcome. So I started researching fast-growing plants to create big privacy walls. Also, reading through the HOA bylaws and city and state ordinances about what I could or couldn't plant, and if there were any repercussions for encroachment across the property line. I quickly discovered running bamboo, despite being very invasive, would grow super fast to make the neighbor's house and light disappear from view. And there was nothing on the HOA, state, city books to prevent me from planting it or cause legal recourse if it spread and grew on his side of the fence. Only thing he could do is cut anything that grew on his side of the line. So I pulled the trigger and planted a bunch of golden bamboo, which grows and spreads crazy fast in Texas and grows up to 20 feet tall. I didn't care if it took over the fence line because his house is 15 feet from the fence while mine was 50 yards away. So I planted a bunch right against the fence and only put root barrier on my side to prevent it spreading into my yard. Within 6 months, his house and light were gone from view, replaced by a pretty bamboo jungle row at the edge of my yard. Within 1 year, he complained it was growing into his yard via mailed letters. They went right into the trash with no response. He rang my doorbell once, and I looked at him through the window, but just didn't answer the door. I unexpectedly sold the house and moved 2 years after planting for a career opportunity. It's been 2 years since I sold, and I just checked the property on Google Earth, and his entire backyard is bamboo. Edit. Wow, this post took off overnight. Kinda like bamboo. Thanks for the hilarious responses. In the comments, Ops Chief said, I imagine you planting those baby bamboo, patting them on the head and whispering, "Go to the light." Drayden said, as someone who has dealt with bamboo, this is almost nuclear revenge. OP replied, I haven't planted any since and probably never will. Oztic suggested, you should mail him a stuffed panda and a flashlight with a card that says, thinking of you, unsigned and with no return address. Hate Stupid People said, fun fact, under the right conditions, bamboo grows so fast you can hear it. Layers of the bamboo shoot rub against each other as they shift while growing and can cause a low creaking noise. It's a member of the grass family, and it basically grows the same speed as grass, but proportionately. So imagine cutting the lawn, but instead of having an inch longer long grass, you have a foot-tall bamboo that is as thick and tough as small trees. Ooh! Ooh, I love myself a starry night, and I would be equally annoyed if a spotlight suddenly entered the equation and prevented me from stargazing. Chance of seeing a shooting star goes way down, and that's not okay. I don't get why the neighbor seemed cool about adjusting the light at first, and then just changed his mind, which is almost worse than saying no to start with. But that's okay, because OP is the determined type, aka the type you don't mess with. The amount of research he put into finding the right solution, and the root barrier he added to his side only? But more funny is the fact that he had to move, and then came to find he left a bamboo forest in his wake. Our second story has some amazingly trashy drama as one man living in a pricey neighborhood with sky-high rent runs afoul of his 9 next-door neighbors living in one house. So it's no surprise this group living like sardines in a can also has a little trouble with their cans, as overflowing garbage on the weekly turns garbage day into a buffet day for the local wildlife. Story 2. So, I rent a house with my husband and 2 of our friends. It's a 5-bedroom house. Rent is outrageous in our area, $2,400 for a 1-bedroom apartment. So we found this house for $3,000. Not a bad deal while we save up to buy a house. There are other houses in the neighborhood like this as well. Our next door neighbors, their house is a 5-bedroom house and they have 9 people living in their house. So it is chaos over there all the time. In our neighborhood, we can choose the trash company, so it just so happens that we have the same trash company as the next door neighbors. Our trash company does like us to have the trash out by 7 a.m. We don't always get it out that early though, and that's where this problem started. Most of the time, they don't pick up our trash until 11 a.m., so obviously, as long as the trash is out before trash pickup gets here, they can take our trash. The people next door have 3 trash cans, and they are overflowing every single week. They put their trash out the night before, but unfortunately, our neighborhood has raccoons and foxes. So the trash is always getting into. And last time a raccoon got into their trash, it left a mess in our yard and they wouldn't pick it up. I was pretty angry about it, but I just let it go, cleaned up their trash. I did go and put it back in their trash can, and they just sat out front, glaring at me while I did that. Here is where this incident started. A couple weeks ago, I didn't get our trash out until almost 9 a.m. All 4 of us were sick with COVID. I was on the mend and feeling a little better, but I slept in and forgot to put out the trash at 7 a.m. So I go to put the trash out and my neighbor starts yelling at me saying you were supposed to have your trash out by 7 a.m. You can't put your trash out now. I said, well, they haven't come to pick up the trash because your trash cans are full, so it's not a big deal. He said, no, that's the rules. Your trash has to be out by 7 a.m. If it's not, you can't get your trash picked up this week. I said, I understand that they want the trash out by 7 a.m., but they haven't come and picked it up yet, so it doesn't matter. So I went ahead and I just walked inside. I went back to bed, and a couple hours later, I get up to see that our trash can was put to the side of the house. And it was still full of trash. So that means that someone moved our trash can. Our other neighbor came up to me the next day and said that she saw him put our trash can back. She didn't know the situation, so she wasn't going to butt in and tell him not to do that. Our neighbors are also very proud about their last name. They literally have a flag in their front window with their last name. So I called the trash company and I said that I was Mrs. So-and-so. I said I needed to set up a vacation hold for our upcoming pickup. They said, no problem, we won't pick up your trash next week. They legit only asked for the address, no other information. The next week, I made sure that our trash can was out at 6:45 a.m. Then I sat and I watched for the trash truck and I watched them come past the house. They drove past my neighbor's house, didn't pick up their trash, even though their trash was overflowing, picked up ours and the other few people who also have them, and left. I know I'm a jerkhole for doing this. You don't need to tell me. I may have crossed the line. But he also crossed the line by touching our trash cans and moving them and setting foot on our property. In the comments, Burnt Toast said, "Are you kidding me? I would have dumped my full bins all over their yard as soon as I realized they'd moved the trash before pickup." Artistic Medium said, "I'm just confused as to why they give a single flying puck what time you put your own trash out. How does that affect them whatsoever?" Killer Whalesimich replied, "My money is on the neighbor used their bins when theirs is full, since 9 people for one trash bin is too many and they sneak it in early in the morning." Feral Monkey added, "My guess is they are retaliating for OP putting their trash back in their can. Not that they necessarily cared about the 7 a.m. time before this. BW Bandy said, "This is awesome. My trash story. I was manager of a small apartment building, 9 units, and my tenants would come to me repeatedly complaining that their trash cans were being filled by someone else. Each tenant had their own trash can in a communal shed beside the alley at the rear of the building. After a bit of sleuthing, I discovered our neighbor across the alley was filling our trash cans with his stuff. Leaves, branches, and even his own household garbage. He would put a little into all 9 of our trash cans, I suppose to avoid filling one completely. Anyway, once I found out what was going on, I waited until all 9 of our trash cans were full and dumped each and every one of them into a neat pile in his garage." Oh, problem solved. The ED Queen asked, "What happened afterward? Did the neighbor try to confront you?" BW Bandy replied, "Not a peep. Sometimes people know when they are in the wrong." Holy trash-a-moly! What a mess it would be to clean up 9 bins of garbage. So gross. Funny that both OP and BW Bandy describe escalating retaliation for touching someone's bins, though. This has disaster written all over it, as far as I'm concerned. Perhaps they should take a page from our good friends who are dealing with Hyacinth Bucket on the regular. Seems like sprinklers really did the trick in that case. Our third story heralds back to the olden times. Ye old days of shortages on everything from TP to graphics cards. And constant hand washing. Yes, I still haven't upgraded my computer. And yes, I am still bitter. But Cece, are you just bringing this up and yelling into the wind? No, because the same reason I couldn't find a reasonably priced graphics card is the same reason the car market was hotter than a blister bug in a pepper patch. And while I have absolutely no idea if that's a good or bad thing, I know the man in our next story gets bit in the behind by that bug when he went into that patch and decided to start stomping and kicking at everyone and everything. Story 3. Back when F-150 Raptors were hot and hard to get, I was selling a car at our dealership. We were one of the few dealerships not playing any games on the Raptors. The deal was MSRP minus any rebates you qualify for, plus our $299 dealer fee and TTL, which was super reasonable. Then came Tom. Tom was a real PETA, short for pain in the derriere, from the start. First off, he thought he was going to haggle, and it got so bad that I straight up told him, "Here is your deal. If you like it, let my manager over there know, and we'll take a deposit and order the vehicle. But I have other customers to attend to." Then I got up and left to meet my appointment. Tom was scheduled for noon, and it was now 3 p.m., a full 3 hours later. While Tom sat at my desk for a solid 15 to 20 minutes, I saw him get up and walk over to my manager's office. My manager ended up taking his deposit, explaining the process, and sending him off. FYI, out of the 1,000 plus customers I've sold, there was only one customer that I did that to, and it was Tom. Tom was special. It got worse. Here are the things Tom did. Tom forged a dealer offer sheet from a competing dealer trying to get us to give him a $3,000 discount. Tom called our auto group headquarters several times to complain. Tom called Ford headquarters several times to complain. Tom was repeatedly caught in lies. His lies would normally be Bambi manager said or Bambi said when we didn't. A few weeks before his vehicle was due, he sent out a massive email that included our customer service reps, myself, my manager, my GM, basically listing his demands and being incredibly unreasonable. A few hours before that email, a customer inquired about an F-150 Raptor, but unfortunately the order banks had closed. We also had none in stock. We never had any in stock. But this new customer seemed super nice. So I went to my GM and said, "Let's sell this Raptor to this new guy who seems super chill and nice and can easily afford it, and let's refund this dick his money and tell him we can't do business with him." My GM agreed. So my GM told me to write up the email and CC certain individuals. I wrote up the email. "Dear Tom, after careful consideration of your last email and your past experience, we've decided we can't meet your expectations. And we wouldn't want you to be disappointed in your vehicle. Therefore, we have decided to refund your money. We have instructed our accounting department to cut a check and overnight it to the address on file. You will be receiving a refund in full. We hope you can find a dealership that can match your expectations. We wish you all the best." Then I called up my customer from earlier and said, Hey man, we got a new Raptor that just became available. I can send you the window sticker and it's yours for MSRP plus $299 dealer fee and TTL. I sent over the window sticker. After I did that, Tom called me furious, telling us he was going to sue us. I passed the call to my GM, who gave him our law firm's phone number and told him his lawyer could talk to our lawyer and asked Tom not to call back again. Then the new customer from that morning called me back and said he was on the way to meet me to place a deposit and start on the paperwork. Ooh, how delightful! Not only did they stick it to Tom, this dealership was able to make someone's day. Now, we all know I really hate when people treat those in the service industry poorly, but I can't help but wonder if Tom's actions are a result of an experience gone wrong with another dealership. I mean, it's not like dealerships are known for being reasonable and not trying to screw you over. Just saying. And that's it for today. Until next time, shine bright, Starlight. If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.